Member Beatrice Farrell, excused. Member Judith Gabriel.
Here.
Member Tony Gerlix.
Here.
Member Mark McConnell.
Here.
Member Steve Pilcher.
Here.
Member Ben Pengili.
Here.
Member Gary Schiffmiller.
Here.
Member Helen Wang. No, I think she's coming. You have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Before we vote on the next thing, which is approval of the agenda, I'd like to get a show of hands. Are there a fair number of people here on the Zia Galisteo issue? It's not as many as I thought. But I would entertain the idea of moving item 7D up to the front of 7A, so folks don't have to wait around as we slog our way through other business. Right, so that's a recommendation of mine. If anyone agrees, we could use a motion.
I'll move that. Move agenda 7D.
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Mr. Chair, you cannot we need to do a roll call because Member Pengili is attending online.
Okay, we'll blame it on Ben then. All right. Roll call vote, please.
Member Board Gray. Member Gabriel.
Yes.
Member Gerlix.
Yes.
Member McConnell.
Yes.
Member Pilcher.
Yes.
Member Pengili.
Yes.
Member Schiffmiller.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the December 11th meeting. Are there any comments or changes recommended by any member? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Yes. Second.
If we could have a roll call vote then?
Member Board Gray. Member Gabriel.
Yes.
Member Gerlix. Member McConnell.
Yes.
Member Pilcher.
Yes.
Member Pengili.
Yes.
Member Schiffmiller.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item number 5, communication from the public. If there's anyone here who would like to address the committee, you come down to the podium and state your name and try to keep your comments about 3 minutes or so. Yes, sir. Make sure the mic is on.
Yeah. Is that amplifying?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to just briefly say my name is Aku Oppenheimer. I'm the president of the Candlelight Neighborhood Association. For 6 years, we struggled to get primarily a better traffic plan. Repeatedly, parts of the community countered. We were NIMBYs. We were suing to oppose the development of Zia Station and so forth. All fallacious claims. All we wanted was a better traffic plan. And now we see just how compromised this plan was. So I just wanted to express to you how important, I understand there's nothing to be done about the past, but I want you to know how important I find it to be that DPAC, I know it's only advisory, but it's extremely important that it have some kind of voice to register for the record that mistakes are being made for pedestrians and for bicyclists because the way Zia Station has been developed, and I will be happy to meet anyone from the committee, take them personally out there and go through the checklist of the dangerous points that have been introduced knowingly by city staff that will make this not a multimodal community, a multimodal transportation based community, as this land use department claimed, but the reverse. I mean, dominated only by motorists, dangerous in the extreme to bicyclists, quite dangerous for pedestrians, and just very opposite of what it was supposed to be. An imaginative, multimodal system. And I just urge you, especially if you're a bicyclist, to go there and see what situation does for a bicyclist. It places them, if any wise bicyclist, and I think maybe the best thing the committee could do is make sure that whatever city information is available for bicyclists, that it warn them to stay away from this intersection. Because you will now be, the way it's set up, the bicyclist is suddenly surrounded by traffic that's very eager to get into one of several lanes, get to the light before it changes. And bicyclist is going to be lost in the rush hour traffic. Then bicyclist is caught at the very critical point of the intersection of the relocated Galisteo Road and Zia Road. It's caught in a rolled out at Galisteo, the first lane of traffic, the lane that is going to be less than 3 feet wide, 36 inches wide. So it's a maximally dangerous situation for bicyclists. And, very sorry. The mood of the town is such that wise citizen input is denigrated, fought against, ignored, and that the EPAC apparently has not much of an advisory role, which I think I would applaud you all if you can manage to get some more voice in policy making for pedestrians and bicyclists. Thanks for listening to my skillful.
Thank you for your comments. Did anyone have any questions for Mr. Oppenheimer? Okay. Tony.
Steve, I don't have any questions. I'd just like to congratulate you for stepping forward and letting us. Thank you.
Okay, next thing are communication from other agencies. Bike Santa Fe, Mr. Seaton, are you here this evening?
Myself and Genevieve are going to tag team this because it's iffy which one of us are available each week or each meeting. I'll start off by saying we are having our annual member social on the 24th. Everybody is welcome. It's from 2 to 5 at Sky Cinema. When members come, I'll do my real quick pitch to recommend that you become a member. I actually brought a form with the QR form, and it will pay for itself because you get a beer ticket and you get these beautiful little Bike Santa Fe socks. So it's basically $25 membership that you get back. We also created yesterday an advisory council for Bike Santa Fe, which will give us kind of another mechanism for people to be involved with Bike Santa Fe without having to commit to be on the board. Not everybody can commit to be on the board, has that kind of time, but they have a strong interest in what's going on with Bike Santa Fe and would like to participate. And so we've created that role. It also gives a way for board members who can't stay as a board member because of time commitment to stay involved with the organization by being on an advisory council. So this is something new that we've just created. We're doing it specifically under the advocacy committee at this time. So if anybody has a interest in getting more involved in Bike Santa Fe in that capacity, then they're welcome to come on board. I'll turn it over to Genevieve.
It's David. We have our winter social coming up. And discussing our accomplishments this past year. and hopefully brainstorming some for this year coming. So to it. We have another pretty exciting development. Several months. MPO and an organization called Reanimator to purchase some bike racks that can be installed on private property. So Leah's been super helpful and individuals from Reanimator to identify locations in the city in which there's really need for some bike racks that are currently there. We're looking at grocery stores in particular. So that's a development that's underway. We don't have the locations quite determined yet. But, our hope is that we will actually match the cost of the bike racks with the business owner. We would like them to part of the cost and then Santa Fe. It's very exciting for us. We're also interested in having a member to participate in the vulnerable course that you all are developing. We do have questions about it. We're sort of unclear on what the goals are. We'd like to get some clarity. And also if you have any plans for or any ideas for when you'll meet, how frequent meetings will be, logistically, things like that, so that we can participate in that.
Quick question, well, how big is your membership?
I have about 100.
And you get does every member get like an email notification to sign up for the following year?
Talked about that last night. Renewal system. So what? Oftentimes when it happens.
Okay.
So it's like, the members still. Let's find out. So we just got this last time.
Thank you.
It is currently on an auto renewal process, but it's on the buyers, then so, we're trying to kind of set up a
Anyone else have questions?
Thanks, Steve. I'm just curious how many members of PPAC are permanent?
I believe I am, so I was asking, that's what I was asking about the dues.
That's the correct answer.
Thank you. Next is a report from the Santa Fe Metropolitan Planning Organization, Leah Ingby.
But maybe I need to get really close. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee. I don't have a whole lot for you guys today, except some more on bike parking. I was involved a little bit in the new code update, and I don't know if you guys have taken a look at the bike parking section in the 700+ page document yet. But I did purchase the Association of Pedestrian and Bicycle Professionals bicycle parking guidance document. And so originally we just put it in exactly as they said. And then I guess later after the fact, they were like, actually, maybe that's like something to strive for, but beyond what we need today. But I still think it's really good. I looked at it today. The emphasis is on less short-term parking, so less bike racks outside, more long-term bike parking, like in particularly in multifamily residences, which is really cool. But that has, not been a requirement. And then some of those spaces are required for electric bicycles to have the hookups. And then in long-term bike parking is also required, but to a lesser extent for most businesses. So it's a big improvement, and it'll be interesting to see the implementation and, something new for developers to, I guess, wrap their minds around and start planning. And then as Genevieve mentioned, so we've been working on other bike parking initiatives. So this was really exciting because the MPO, we are going to purchase some bike racks from Reanimator, but they can only go on public property. And so we saw that as a limitation of, where the need for bike parking is. So it's great that Bike Santa Fe is able to step up and help fill that gap. We still need to prioritize our bike parking locations, but it's looking like some parks, trails, and bus stops will probably end up in the mix. And then also we had talked about with former Chair Michael Garcia getting funding from his funds for bike racks, the historic bike racks that go in the downtown area. Not sure what happened to that funding, if it's still something we could pursue. That we'll look into that, but I did go ahead and find all of the locations, measure them to make sure that measurements all meet code. And I have all those locations all mapped out. So we kind of are ready to go whenever those funds are identified. And that's it. I'll stand for any questions. Thanks.
Yes, Judith?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Leah, the ones that you're going to purchase with, I think it was then Councilor Garcia's funds, those were all in the downtown area, correct? Okay. Because we had a constituent who was very concerned about not enough bike racks in the downtown, not necessarily on the plaza, but surrounding the plaza. So that's great news. Thank you.
I understand you say the draft land use code update is 700 pages long.
The new, yeah, it's not, it's actually, it's adopted and it's in effect now already. And they're working on getting it into Unicode if you looked at that, but right now it's just a PDF that's over 700 pages, but you can Control F to find things. And
It's a long code.
oh yeah. This was supposed to simplify.
Any other questions for MPO? Thank you. The next item is a report from the Public Safety Committee, of which I am BPAC's representative. The Public Safety Committee has been having a couple of special meetings in the last few months to try to update its authorizing resolution and bring greater clarity to what its roles and responsibilities are. That work continues. We had a meeting on Tuesday for a couple hours. At our last regular meeting last month, it's mostly a bunch of fire department capital expenditure requests that were examined. Though I understood correctly, they'd already been done by the council. So it was kind of more of an FYI versus an action item for the committee. And that's hopefully one of the things we'll get more hammered out as we update our roles and responsibilities for the committee. There was some interest of some members of establishing more of a kind of like a citizens review board for dealing with any questionable complaints regarding the police department actions, or I suppose could also be fire department actions. But the mayor, excuse me, who happened to stop by, pointed out that there is kind of somewhere simmering on the back burner a committee of that sort, which for whatever reason, the city has never really called into being yet. So that's probably how that's going to happen. I suppose that becoming a responsibility of this committee. So that's what's going on with public safety. Next item, number one, folks, right late, but We moved item 7D up to before 7A. So we can pass 2 more minutes. So 7D and now 7A is discussion on the Zia Galisteo housing development issues. Member Gabriel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is actually a very specific request about Galisteo Road and the redesign of Galisteo Road. It's not about the intersection in general or the housing development, because that's not really under our purview. But I live in this neighborhood off of Rodeo Road. I use that intersection, that street a lot. And I am concerned about the design of the street. It seems too narrow. It has a very tight turning radius, especially if you're going eastbound on Zia and turning right onto Galisteo. There's no room for a bicycle. And the whole road seems very narrow, and it's got a median in the middle, a small median. So I have a couple things I want to talk about. One, the safety issues, but also the process for BPAC being involved in providing input. It's my understanding we are only invited to do a technical review on public developments, not private. And I think that needs to change. So I'd like to start with the safety issues. And I don't know if there's anything that can be done, but could the median be removed? Could we put signs that say bikes may use full lane, or do something to increase the safety for bicyclists? So I'm opening this up for discussion and would love to hear other people's feedback.
I have a question. The medians in Zia, I take it that, I assume the intent is to prevent cross traffic going?
No, the median is on Galisteo.
It is.
It's a small cement barrier. I mean, I don't know if that's what you call it, but
Member Gabriel, Chair Pilcher, Member Gabriel is talking about the raised median, not the median that is striped median. She's talking about raised median.
I don't know if- I was just going to say, I'm not, I assume this has all been built according to approved plans and inspected and approved by the city at this point in time. Is that your understanding, Member Gabriel?
yes, that's my understanding. And that's why I have somewhat of an issue of BPAC's involvement in reviewing plans. And I don't know if, because all of these things were approved, I know in the article that was in the paper, the consultant Leroy Pacheco said there were many levels of approval. And I know that BPAC was not one of those levels. So, Romella, is it ever, do they ever do something like remove a median?
When we were constructing or reconstructing the Guadalupe Street, that was federally funded. Then we constructed like a small median on Guadalupe and Agua Fria near the Guadalupe Church. And we noticed that the motorists are going over that small median. And so they requested to remove it, but it was in the design plan. That was approved by FHWA and NMDOT, and we requested that to be removed. And it can be done. This project is a private development project. And so if the city will request the developer to remove it, then we just need the concurrence or the approval of the engineer of record.
Ms. Bordigary, did you have some comments?
Thank you, Chair. Just for purposes of these discussions, I think it'd be nice to have maps, and I don't know that we have that tonight, but I wish we could whip one up right here. And I don't know if the staff has that, but that's for reference for everybody. Like, well, where is this and what exactly are we talking about? Just a point. Thank you.
Ms. Gabriel?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Galisteo Road is a public road. How does that relate to a private development? I mean, is that part of the road now private because it's on their property?
I believe so. No, not yet. Oh, okay. Miss Ingvi, could you please?
Thanks, Mr. Vice Chair and Member Gabriel. So the MPO does review development. So we see this all the time, that when a development has impacts to the transportation network, then they are required to use their own funding to update the infrastructure. They can relocate a road, a lot of times they add sidewalks, bike lanes, trails. That happens all the time with private development. They pay for it, but it is still public, like a public right of way.
Thank you. So may I follow up? So Romella, who is what did you call it? What kind of engineer?
Engineer of record?
Engineer of record. Is it Mr. Pacheco?
No.
No.
Mr. Pacheco Leah is a consultant representing Public Works in development reviews. The engineer of record is Bohanan Houston. And we obtained partial plan set just for that road. And I can perhaps ask if the members want me to put it on the screen, I can perhaps ask Mike to put it on the screen.
Would people like to see that?
Sure.
Okay.
And may I ask another question while that's happening?
Sure.
It seems like a lot of the BPAC members are not familiar with this location. And I'm wondering if a field trip would be appropriate, so that people can weigh in. It seems like this is a concern for me because it is in my neighborhood. I use it a lot. Would it be appropriate to have a field trip out there?
I think if majority of the members were to go at once, it'd have to be advertised as a meeting. I'm not an expert on New Mexico's Open Meeting Act laws, but I think if we went in smaller groups, that would be okay. Like, say, 3 people.
And I don't need to go.
Member Gerlichs?
As chair, but I think it's a good idea, but if we did that, we should have somebody from the design team with us. And members of the community.
Well, yes.
Thank you.
Terry.
I'm not going to speak for Romella, but I know she's busy. And when I was formerly on the Planning Commission, and this idea of having a quorum, we could advertise it and it also would be community members invited. So I think that's the way we should do it. My opinion is that we go all together and that we have somebody with us. So we all see it at the same time. And that shouldn't be a problem. You just post it as a public meeting. So.
I think one thing that would be good to get clarified too is that what input of BPAC can even be considered at this time, or is the project gone on so far to say, well, that's the way it is. We're not changing anything. So we'd be going there to learn a lesson for the future, or would we actually have the possibility of influencing and maybe having like this median taken out? You got the drawings there. Just like. That's a-
This is the plan set. So it's too small on the screen. This is Galisteo Road, Zia Road. So this is the approved plan set for Galisteo Road and Zia Road. You will see the raised median here. And I will show you the proposed section. I don't know if you can see it. This is the section G, proposed conditions. Mm, what? So there's a sidewalk 5 feet wide, both sides. 3.5 landscape planter, both sides. 2 feet curb and gutter, both sides. Through lane, 9 feet. A raised median, so it's 3 feet. 3 feet wide is the raised median through lane. And the old condition, there was no raised median here. It was just a striped median. And I believe before the construction, there was no landscape planter. And this was, the design is based on the land use code for a sub-collector, based on land use code for a sub-collector. The driving lane is 9 feet wide. There is no requirement for a bike lane. Yeah, so I have here the land use code. So for a sub-collector, no requirement for bicycle lane. There is no parking on this road. So, but Leah said this should be a collector. So if it is a collector, the minimum bikeway width should be 4 feet. But this is designed as a sub-collector, no parking. And the width of driving lanes in sub-collector is 9 feet. For a collector is 10 feet.
Yes.
So, because people are not familiar with this, I wonder, Romella, if we could look at a date or some dates as a committee and post it as a public meeting so that people can go out there, invite the engineers, and the committee can make a more informed decision or recommendation, acknowledging that there may be nothing to be done. How does that sound to people?
Any comments from other members?
It's not in direct comment to you, but I'm new here, so I'm trying to understand some things, but this roadway is still in a city right of way, correct? What's the width of the right of way? The width of the right of way? Okay, so pretty narrow. Pretty small. I guess I was just, again, my unfamiliarity of why more infrastructure wasn't part of development. Like if the developer wants to develop whatever it is, you can't have too onerous of constraints, but it seems like the perfect opportunity to improve the infrastructure so that it works for more than just cars. 9 foot's a really narrow lane. So anyway, that's my comment. And I'll have to get some more information to speak more intelligently about how that process works here in the city of Santa Fe. Thank you.
When I saw the item on the agenda, I took it upon myself to do a field trip. I went out there and I had a look, and I was sort of surprised and disappointed to see that as one proceeds north on Galisteo from Rodeo, there's a nice wide striped shoulder, probably 5 feet wide, very comfortable for a bicycle. It may not officially be a bike lane, but it functions as that. And when you get to this development, all of a sudden the curb swings out so that you have this landscape buffer between the street and the sidewalk that takes the place of that striped shoulder where the bikes otherwise could be. And it doesn't make sense to me that you have this landscape buffer in lieu of a place for bicycles. I'm not sure what the bicycles are expected to do. It's sort of like the striped shoulder comes to a stop. And I'm not an engineer, but it didn't make any sense to me, and I didn't like it as a bicyclist. I don't know what could be done at this point. But since I've been on the technical review subcommittee, this has not come to us. I don't know if it came to the technical review subcommittee at some point in the past, but if it didn't, why not? It seems to me that any project that affects bicyclists and pedestrians in Santa Fe, regardless of, who's doing it, we should at least be able to comment on it. I mean, I know we only have advisory capacity, but we should at least be able to say, hey, wait a minute, I think this, that, and the other thing. And I don't know why it hasn't. And there's other projects that concern me as well. For example, the realignment of the Acequia Trail that's on Santa Fe Public School property. Well, I understand it's on their property, but it affects a city bike trail. It affects bicyclists and pedestrians. The proposed changes to Fort Marcy is another place where it seems like it should come to us because it affects bicycles and pedestrians. It needs to be ADA compliant, and we haven't been given any official notification that this is in the works and they want us to comment on it. And I don't understand why. And I also don't understand what can be done to change that.
Hold that thought. Item 7E is actually maybe not quite titled correctly, but that is one of the concepts I wanted to discuss later on in the meeting here.
Thank you.
Ms. Bordigari.
Thank you. I said I was going to only listen, but as a planner, I can't help but notice this too about the situation. And it was the way the rail runner put that station in. And no offense to the neighbors, but I understand there's no parking. It's like a kiss and ride, right? Which is not functioning city design. And so, but because Galisteo has been what it was and it has the bike lanes and it's wide, I parked on it and got on the train. And what this clearly does is make it even more impossible for you to park anywhere near the station if you want to get on the train. And I just point that out. Like, we spend how much on the train and the rail runner system, and it was never used for all these years, and now we want to use it, but there's no way to park near it. That's a separate issue, but actually I would be willing to bring that up at some point. Like the neighborhood supports this area and they get a train and there needs to be room for parking. And those are public streets. Thank you.
I think we have a response.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Vice Chair. I just want to say that they actually are adding parking, whereas there is none now. Like you said, there will be some public parking in the development as well as they're adding parking spaces on Galisteo. So it'll actually will eventually be a little bit better than it was before.
Romella, if you know, could you clarify, those are minimum standards or maximum standards? So like, it's 9 feet, period, or can you ever exceed 9 feet?
Minimum,
width?
minimum requirement.
So it could be wider,
Yeah,
possibly, okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Miller.
And when you say on a sub-collector that there's no requirement for a bike lane, neither is it prohibited, is it?
yeah. Yeah, if they want to add bike lane, then they could add the bike lane. But the logic or the reason for narrowing the road is to slow down the traffic, slow down the motorist.
Okay, well, we had a recommendation from Ms. Gabriel that we try to all make a field trip together. So I assume people might be able to be available during the daylight hours, potentially, hopefully. So I guess my thought is Judith, if you want to work with Romella and see if we can get that set up, and I guess it would then need to be advertised as a public meeting.
Minimum of 3 days notification.
And you had suggested that there also be an engineer in that meeting or some staff member who might have been involved with the project.
The SFMPO,
Oh, okay.
Leah, because SFMPO has a seat at the table for in the development review. And Public Works is represented by Engineer Leroy Pacheco, who's a consultant. We did not have a division. When we have a complete division director, did Jennifer Morrow? No.
No, so the way that they typically do development review is that land use has their own engineer, Dee Beinfesser, and then I guess so she does some of the review for the engineering, and then Leroy Pacheco represents Public Works, and we only brought in Jean Wolfenbarger, like she wasn't on the development review team. She was just brought in like when we got into specific nitty-gritty issues about engineering. So it would be up to land use to make that decision about who, adding BPAC to the development team.
Thank you. Any other comments? And I guess maybe Member Gabriel, if you could coordinate with Romella on getting the ball rolling on this, you willing to do that?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to do that. And I was wondering if public comment is allowed during this time, because it appears that somebody has a question or something to say.
I think we can handle one. Did you have something quick, Ms. Member Gerlich? Okay, would you like to come down, ma'am?
I'm Margaret Marshall. I've lived in the Candlelight neighborhood for close to 40 years. We had a perfectly good Galisteo Road. I have walked the entire area many times over the years. And I really believe this realigned Galisteo Road was done to accommodate the developer. And it is not an improvement in any way that I can think of. And this business of, oh, it'll slow traffic. Well, I don't think we had a big traffic problem on Galisteo Road in the past. And Judith, I don't know how long you've lived there, but we've replaced something that was working, that was functioning, with something that I think is a real problem. And I don't care how much, I mean, I can't imagine that any traffic engineer look at this and say, oh yeah, and saying, well, it meets the minimum requirements. And I think somebody else already said this. We are not prohibited from putting a bike lane, are we? I mean, the first time I saw it, sort of emerging with these tiny, tiny lanes, like maybe 5 months ago, 6 months ago, I said, what is this? Looks like a toy car track. And then other people have gradually sort of come around saying, yeah, what is going on here? Yes, they put some nice landscaping up, but I would rather have a workable road, an adequate road, a road that accommodates vehicles, pedestrians, bicyclists, and not some traffic engineers, including the city traffic person, saying, well, everybody will get used to it. I mean, I think people will get used to it, but that does not mean it's a good design, does not mean it's a healthy or environmentally sound design. And I don't care how many trees or how many rose bushes or plants, which I do hope survive, but let's start planting them this winter. So that's my comment. And I'm just saying, let's not be carrying on about, oh, it went through so many levels of approval. Maybe it did. But whose approval were we seeking? The developers? And again, this is my community and this is where I live. And so I am concerned about it on a number of different levels. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Member Gerlitz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a question for Romella. So thanks to Member Gabriel's suggestion, and we'll go take a look and have a member of the engineer design team. But what would you suggest next steps? Or maybe Leah could answer that. I don't know.
Or maybe, so what we did with Guadalupe, there were a lot, we saw the skid marks on the raised median. And we said that was raised by the contractor. And the contractor told us that, look, Romella, the skid marks on the raised median, what are we going to do? This is a safety issue. And we said that, oh, maybe leave it for a while, maybe for a few weeks when they get familiar with this raised median, because before there was no raised median. But they did not get familiar with the infrastructure. So we asked the opinion of the engineer of record if we can remove it for safety reason. And then we got, because it's federally funded project, we cannot just remove anything on an approved plan set without getting approval from the federal government. But this is approved plan set of a developer. So we just need to perhaps go to land use director, department director.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, thanks. Mr. Chair, I think that's probably true. I will say though, I know Eric was more involved in this, trying to get, so the turn lane, it's like highway standards length. And also there was the concern about the parkland being taken up by this turn lane. And there was, at least on Eric's part, a large effort, and I know there were other people as well, to try and get plans changed to reduce the length of the turn lane or take it out. And they weren't successful working with the land use department and planning commission to make that happen. So I don't know, I guess just take that as you will. I don't,
Or to planning commission.
I think it would involve first the land use director,
Mhm.
who would then have to approve it going to planning commission, I think. But yeah, start with the land use director.
But this is for me, it's an easier change. It's an easier process to change rather than you have to go to the federal government for approval. This is more on a local level. Yeah. Yeah. So when we go there and especially the technical review committee, what do you suggest or what BPAC recommends? I think we need to have a vote of the committee that this is our recommendation to the land use department director. And from there, maybe she will put it on the agenda of the planning commission. I know Member Board Gray may know, she knows better than me. She was a planner for the city of Santa Fe.
Member Gerlich?
Thanks, Vice Chair, and thank you, Romello. I think that's a great suggestion then, as Judith puts together a field trip, that we go out there and look, that we include the land use planning director with us, if for nothing else than to answer our question.
Okay, any other discussion on this item? Mr. McConnell?
Well, final comment on, I believe someone stated the right of way is 42 feet. So is the rest of Galisteo just a 42-foot right of way? Because it looks like I'm seeing the dirt disturbance of what was vacated where Galisteo used to be. And I'm just curious about if the right of way is shrunk at the squiggle.
Yeah, so that section is 42 feet. It gets wider a little bit further down where there's parking, but I will say that the right of way was not a constraint. It was selected because they designed it to be a sub-collector street design. So they had, basically an empty slate. So and then they just, selected this right of way width. So it wasn't because of a constraint.
Thank you. I think that's the problem right there.
Hey, any other questions, comments? All right. Sorry, sir. 2 more minutes? Okay. Make sure you're talking to the
Nobody
mic.
in this room does. So there's just one more thing I wanted to say to encourage BPAC to take this as seriously as you already are, and I appreciate that so much. And that is that with the way I see this project, the city has allowed the developer to engineer this land swap so that he benefited entirely. And in addition, he offloaded his liability, the public liability, to the city. So if you look at state statute 41-411, you will see that the city is not, there's a waiver of liability which says that the city is responsible for liability problems coming from this design, even if they cannot say, well, we left it to the developer or anything. It's a very strict state statute that holds cities accountable. And that's what we've done. I want you to know that as a result of your not having been given a voice in this at all, to at least state experience, advisory position that the city has taken on potentially a lot of liability in the future. And I really thank you for letting me put that on the record here. The city will hear about that in the future if they can't find any solutions to this situation.
Thank you, Mr. Oppenheimer. All right, moving on. Next time on the agenda, I take a deep breath. Continued discussion on the establishment of scope and official name for BPAC's Ad Hoc Committee on Motorist Accountability and Collisions Involving Cyclists. You gotta come up with an acronym for this.
We've got a neater name, maybe not an acronym. If I wanted to present something, Ramella, can I try to plug in my computer or use yours? Can you hear me? Okay. So I'm presenting on behalf of our renamed Vulnerable Road User Task Force. Just a brief update on what we've done so far. So our current members are Gary Schiffmiller, Cal Spencer, Bill Adrian, Marina Sola, and myself. We're currently seeking members, maybe a couple more members from interested community parties, so specifically from Bike Santa Fe, and potentially Santa Fe Seniors on Bikes. Definitely interested in other community groups if we've missed one, but want to be sure that it's not just, yeah, anyway, want to be sure that we're being very inclusive here. And ideally, we're looking for at least one member with some legal background, since we're hoping to get into legal and or policy, I should say, since we're hoping to, on the other side of this, based on our findings, maybe make some policy recommendations. All right. So our plan so far is to engage kind of a broad variety of stakeholders just to understand the current state of things. So police department, that we know chief is a bit in flux, the DA's office, take a look at some UNM resources with some contacts we have there and departments who have done traffic analyses in the past, Bike Santa Fe, MPO, and the Public Safety Committee. To answer some of the questions that came up earlier, we imagine that the commitment to this committee would be about a year from anyone, and that so far we've been meeting about once per month for about an hour with some kind of pre-work and research and, circulating articles outside of that. I do think we can sort of adjust this cadence to the committee's needs, depending on whether we're trying to publish something faster or if we feel like there's not enough momentum there. But realistically, we don't really think we can get the ball really rolling until about February, after we have a new BPAC chair, new police chief, city manager, etc. And of course, until we've actually recruited and said like, hey, these are going to be the core members of the task force. Yeah, so that we're not kind of, someone's not joining mid-journey. I'll also call out, I'm like on the record super pregnant. So I think I'm probably going to take something like a few months of maternity leave from my work as well as this committee. So I think I've been kind of doing the administrative stuff so far, but I think I was really hoping that we could identify a chair or like a replacement chair or a co-chair, just to be sure that we continue to meet and make progress on this while I'm out. Let's see, I guess I'm wondering if we should go over content tonight or if we can report out on that at another time. Do we have a question already? Member Gerlitz?
Member Gerlitz?
Well, thank you, Helen, for taking this on. Maybe we can jump to quickly the intended outcomes of the committee, and I'm assuming that's to make some recommendations that would then be given to whom?
That's right. Well, okay. I'll go over kind of the questions we're asking. I don't know that we've explicitly answered for whom, but it's almost. I'll go back to the committee for that because we haven't explicitly answered it, but I would say that basically we would go back to all of the stakeholders with our findings. I think it depends on what the findings are as well. I think at minimum, we intend to as a committee say, hey, these are some recommendations we have for the city, and take that to Mayor Garcia because he seemed interested and invested in this, which is exciting, and see where we might go from there. But we haven't run the analysis yet, so I don't want to say hey, this is what we're going to find. We're going to find bias here, and then we're going to go speak to the DA or the police about that. But I think if we were to find hey, there's bias in these areas, I think we'd be interested in going back to the parties where we see a disparity between, maybe what's law and how it's enforced, or, different rates of kind of follow through, I guess, in, car on car accidents versus car on pedestrian or cyclists, for instance. Yeah. Okay. We will go over the content we have. This is brief. We've so far put together an outline. I wouldn't say it's set in stone. I expect that as we bring on new members, they might have perspectives and other things to add. But just as a work in progress, the key questions we're asking are whether there is bias in charging and punishing, I guess, car on car versus car on vulnerable road user incidents. Vulnerable road users being cyclists and pedestrians for us. Whether investigations are adequately capturing the vulnerable road users' perspective, what systemic factors are contributing to these disparities and outcomes, and then this is kind of the recommendation part, what policies or practices might be put in place to address disparities, assuming we find them. If not, then great, we'll just say there's no bias, awesome. Key findings, which we can't know until we run an analysis, and then just kind of primary recommendations coming out of that. So we'll be focused on kind of post-crash investigation, citation, and judicial processes. So a crash happens, it's presumably recorded by the police. That doesn't mean that there's always, prosecution that follows from that. So I think we'll be kind of following what happens through the funnel, after the incident, how many of these become something that's cited, how many of them go to court, et cetera. I think just because of the scope of this committee, where we do have county membership as well as city membership, we plan to gather data for the entire county if possible, but then, make clear cuts and say, this is the city data versus the county data. Give some background and context on how we came to form this committee or this task force, and why we're doing this. And then the research questions, which are the same as the kind of key questions shared earlier. So far, our ideas around how we're going to assemble this data and run the analysis are getting data from really as many sources as possible. I do think that some of these records, like city and county, that they may roll up to DOT if all the processes are working correctly, but remains to be seen. So just, I think we'll just kind of reach out to any outlet we have to try to get crash data from NMDOT, City of Santa Fe, and then the County Sheriff's Office. UNM a few years ago, I think maybe it was last updated 2023 or something, put together a really great series of data visualizations for pedestrian and what they call pedal cyclist crashes, but it hasn't been updated. So we thought maybe we'd reach out to them and kind of understand sources and methodology there. And then to understand, what the follow through is there, we'll have to, en masse, I think, get a lot of court records and kind of case outcomes to try to map those two crashes. Analysis, we're planning to do kind of a statistical comparison of the charge rates and outcomes, review police reports and investigation procedures to see how consistent they are across kind of all the law enforcement bodies we named, and link this crash data to judicial outcomes. I'll say we're already running into some limitations, I think. Gary has been super proactive in trying to get us data. Response time can be slow. But this could affect our timeline, but hopefully we get the data one way or another. Do kind of a literature review. This is where we're hoping someone with policy or legal background can help out, just to help us understand, are these issues that we believe exist within Santa Fe, or, are out there more broadly. Let's see. It's more on the analysis, findings, contributing factors. I think we're hoping to get into everything from just kind of like protocols, investigating consistency there, as well as getting into infrastructure design, especially if we have someone with, a planning background on the committee. Hopefully we can partner with other folks on BPAC, even if they're not an official part of the task force. And then finally, whatever comes out of this, writing recommendations. I think we kind of, this kind of covers, I think, some initial ideas we had around recommendations, but again, it depends on what the analysis turns up. And we do plan to make everything really transparent. So yeah, so we'll include kind of like supplemental, like any data we use, any analysis we used, hopefully some sample crash reports, and also just stories. I think it's been interesting at our BPAC meetings to hear from members of the community, as well as members of the task force itself, just like really close scrapes with life or death. I think sometimes that the anecdote data can be, just as powerful as the data we pull up. So trying to collect a few of those stories from the community. And that's all we have for tonight, but more to come. Any questions?
It's very impressive. I think you should go have that baby now and take a rest. Any questions, Member McConnell?
Not a question, just thank you for as much work as you've already put into it. It's a good outline.
Thanks.
Member Gerlichs?
Ditto with the thanks. And if you could email that to me, then I'll make sure that everyone on Bison has a copy. Will for sure contribute. That's
Awesome. Yeah, that's great to hear. And thanks to the committee. This, like, I'm presenting it, but there's a bunch of us. We all worked on it together. It's exciting. It's good to get the ball rolling, but it'll take a while. So stay tuned. This is just like the first episode.
Question, you talked about having someone take over while you're on maternity leave. Are you looking for the EPAC to appoint that person, or you're just gonna see if someone rises from within those people on the committee?
I think it depends on what is allowed, because I think typically it's supposed to be a BPAC member who chairs these like ad hoc or like subcommittees, but Gary already, I think, chairs a committee, so didn't really want to ask him to do double duty.
Ramel, is that correct?
Yeah, so in the resolution, we can only have 3 members at large. 3 BPAC members, three members at large. And the BPAC members should not have a member of other subcommittees, so we can control the rolling quorum. However, so you and Member Chief Miller are member of this ad hoc committee, so we are just going to request that anything that the technical review subcommittee is talking about doesn't share it in this ad hoc committee, which is a little bit difficult because you are the chair of the technical review. And Member Wang is a member of policy.
Yes.
So this ad hoc committee is, I think, has a lot of legs because each committee can make a contribution to the report or to the analysis.
If we're only allowed 3 members at large, does that mean meaning members from the public? So
Yeah.
So we're technically already at
You
capacity.
already have 3 members at large.
Mm.
So and that's in the resolution. We cannot just ask the legal services that, can you allow 5 members of members at large for this ad hoc committee or task force?
Are there constraints around how we solicit feedback? Like, is it possible?
No.
Okay.
No. No.
I guess part of my question was this interim chair of the committee, does that have to be appointed by BPAC and the chair of BPAC?
By the chair of BPAC chair.
Just can't bubble up. They can't play rock, paper, scissors.
No.
Okay, Ms. Gabriel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I have a question. I should be more familiar with the resolution. It seems like if an ad hoc committee is treated the same as a subcommittee, we are always going to have this problem because all of the members are on subcommittees. So there's no exception for an ad hoc committee for membership.
So the requirement that no BPAC member shall be a member of more than one subcommittee, it's not in the resolution. It's just the advice from legal services.
So, but could we say that an ad hoc committee is not a subcommittee? It is a temporary working group, and that would not then be restrained by that?
I will ask the legal services tomorrow. Because as far as my understanding is, ad hoc committee is equivalent to subcommittee. So any restrictions on membership of a subcommittee applies to an ad hoc committee.
That would be great to get clarification because that is extremely limiting
Yeah.
as to how many partners can be involved in this. And it's a huge job.
And as I mentioned, that the limitation or the restriction that no BPAC member shall be a member of more than one subcommittee is just an advice from legal services. It's not in the resolution. So there's no problem if there will be 3 BPAC members, which are member of other subcommittee, and as long as those BPAC members do not talk about their what they talk about in their own subcommittee, like Member Schiff-Miller should not be talking about the issues that they are facing in technical review.
Well, right now, it would be good to get clarification on that because right now, obviously, Member Wong is both on the Policy and Planning Subcommittee and she's heading up this, which now Mayor Garcia appointed her to do.
Yeah. As I said, she can be a member also of the ad hoc committee. It's just an advice. So to control the rolling quorum. Yeah, but Member Wang wants to invite, like for example, Bike Santa Fe, senior on bikes, as members at large. Then as the resolution, as written in the resolution, we cannot have more than 3 members at large. And that's a limitation for both subcommittee and ad hoc committee.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I imagine we might just follow a model then where we're like very actively soliciting feedback from a couple of designated individuals. Are there rules around whether they can attend our ad hoc committee meetings? Or is it just that like officially we can only have 3 BPAC members and 3 members at large?
Yeah. So if your ad hoc or task force will have a meeting and you invited, and if you will have a quorum, like 6 BPAC members, that meeting should be made public, should be accessible to public. I should put a notification that the vulnerable road user task force will meet on such and such a date, and this is their agenda.
But if it's 2 BPAC members, 3 members at large, and then like just 2 members of the public who come, that's not,
No problem,
no problem. Okay. Okay.
no problem.
Yeah. All right. I think we can work around that. I guess our additional members maybe would like receive recognition in the report in like a different category and not be called members at large. So, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Any other questions, comments? Board Gary?
Just a comment, because this is, affects how we can integrate a lot of the issues that we work on here. I just want to say that it was legal opinion in the past. Well, we're going to have a new legal department. I mean, we're going to have a new city attorney. And so I think it's worth finding out, like, and my question, the real life example is, yeah, Gary's on the technical committee. And it's just maybe not to put you on the spot, but like, is that feasible? Do you think if you were on both, like, is that a natural separation, or would that be hard for you to keep that separate?
I think keeping them separate would be totally doable. I don't really need to talk about specific projects that we're, offering advice on the planning of when we're talking about this vulnerable road user task force. There's a portion of the vulnerable road user task force that will address infrastructure, but that doesn't mean I need to specifically cite projects we're working on. I think we can keep them separate.
Mr. Chair, we need a vote for the name of the task force.
Okay, so clarify what the proposed name of the task force is.
The proposed name of the task force is the Vulnerable Road User Task Force.
Do I have a motion to so name it?
I move that we name it the Vulnerable User Task Force.
You have road in the title there?
Oh, sorry, whatever you said.
Vulnerable Road User Task Force.
I move that we name it the Vulnerable Road User Task Force.
I'll say good.
Seconded. Any final comments, questions? Okay, roll call vote, that's right.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, is Member Pengili still attending online? Hello, Mike, is Member Pengili still attending online?
He is not online.
Okay, maybe,
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Next item on tonight's agenda is discussion of potential solutions to improve the trail behind the Vizcaya Apartments crossing the Arroyo and Medio. Member Gabriel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I brought this up a while back. We had a request from a constituent who lives at Vizcaya Apartments to do something about the informal path that goes from the Vizcaya parking lot across the Arroyo to the Albertsons center, that whole shopping center. Tony and I went out there and met with Bob, the guy who requested it, And I've had conversations with Eric Downey from MPO. And Tony just suggested to me that since these are both in the same area, that we add this to the field trip so that BPAC will understand what it is we're looking at. And once we do that, and if BPAC thinks it's a good idea, make a recommendation to prioritize this trail improvement in our plan and ask for budget for a study to see about feasibility of improving that connection, because it would make a great connection from that area southeast of St. Francis and the shopping center to the Galriba Trail, the rail trail, the Chamisa Trail. It's really a good access point. So are people amenable to adding that to our field trip? And then you can make a better informed decision.
The mics aren't catching it, but I see a lot of heads nodding. So seems to be agreeable to everybody. Any comments?
Seems like a good idea.
Okay, we'll add it.
Mr. Chair, Member Gabriel, can we do it on the same day that we do the field trip for?
Oh, that's what we're recommending, is that
Uh-huh.
we combine it all because it's right across the street, basically. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. I think that's it for now.
Great. Next item, League of American Bicyclists Community Sparks Grant. Mela, you did a lot of work on this.
Oh,
Seems like a lot of work for $2,000, but hopefully we'll get it.
yeah. So thank you, Mr. Chair. So BPAC is applying for this $2,000 Loves Community Sparks Grant. This is highly competitive funding application because they are only granting 5 communities outside GM communities. So there will be a total of 10 communities that will receive this funding, $2,000 each. However, there will be only 5 communities outside GM that will receive $2,000. And their main criteria is equity and accessibility. So I was thinking of our strategic plan, and in our strategic plan there is a task number 3.1 to assess connectivity, because based on our survey, BPAC survey, that is number 1 factor for bicycling and walking. So the title is Santa Fe Bike Summit, Closing the Gaps in Citywide Bike Connectivity. There were 37 questions, and you have a copy of the application. I stop at number 35, asking for community or organizations, nonprofit organizations that we will coordinate, collaborate. And I listed, of course, the SFMPO. Number 2 is Bike Santa Fe. Number 3 is Santa Fe Public School Safe Route to School Program, who is Ryan Harris is the coordinator. And I would like to ask BPAC, who are the 2 organizations you would like to include. So when we include them, we need to notify them that they are included as partners, community partners, because they will receive a copy of the application. And I wonder if the committee would like to add seniors on bike because of their criteria of equity and accessibility. They're really big on diversity, age, ethnicity, abilities. And who is the fifth one, the fifth organization that you would like? And then I need the
Sorry.
vote, a decision. If we submit this, the deadline is January 27.
Member Gabriel?
Because, thank you, Mr. Chair, because of the focus on poverty and income, I was thinking Chainbreaker Collective would be a good partner. And I'm not sure about Santa Fe Conservation Trust, but they are very actively involved in the trail stuff. So are we limited? Okay, so maybe Chainbreaker would be an appropriate partner.
I thought the same. Membership Miller?
I was going to say, I thought exactly the same, yeah.
And who's the other one? Seniors on Bike or Santa Fe Conservation Trust?
Member Gabriel?
It seems like the SLBs, because of also the issue of senior access, would be appropriate. Do other folks think so?
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, I ride with the SOBs a lot, and believe it or not, I'm one of the younger people there.
Well, Steve.
Thank you.
Their age requirement is fairly low. It's 50. You only have to be 50 to be a senior.
He's
I
70.
can almost remember being 50. I can almost remember being 50.
That gives you an automatic pass. If you can't remember,
I had a few edits I can send to you by email tomorrow. Is that okay?
Or is that short or
They're sh-
huge edits?
They're short. The main substantive one was Chainbreaker.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few times I noticed you mentioned pedestrians. Is that really, should that be part of this or not? That's the only other question I had.
The bicyclists and pedestrians, because that's the title of our committee. What's the decision of the committee?
I'm not sure what you're asking, a decision about what?
Because Chair Pilcher said that he noticed that when I mentioned bicyclists, I also mentioned pedestrians. But
I would just-
accessibility for all vulnerable road users.
I not reading all the criteria from LAB. I thought this was purely a bicycle oriented thing, but perhaps not.
Maybe have that correct.
Yeah, so the league defines equity as the just and fair inclusion into a society in which everyone can participate and prosper. The goals of equity must be to create conditions that allow all to reach their full potential by erasing disparities in race, income, ability, geography, age, gender, and sexual orientation. The principle of equity acknowledges that there are historically underserved and underrepresented populations and that fairness regarding these unbalanced conditions is needed to assist equality in the provision of effective opportunities to all groups. Accessibility refers to improving and increasing access and mobility options for everyone, including and in particular for people with disabilities. The League recognizes that not every disability is visible to others and that not every person with a permanent or temporary mobility or accessibility need identifies as disabled. Whether from a cognitive, sensory, or physical disability or age, temporary illness, or injury, there are people in every community who face a range of mobility challenges for whom a bike or cycle may open a world of possibilities to increase accessibility. So you're right. They are just referring to bicyclists.
Yes, it also says that under the background in the document included in our packet, improve communities through better bicycling with $2,000 mini grants.
So if you got time, I'll send you my comments. Like I said, they're mostly just minor edits. Member Gabriel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I had a few edits also, Romella. And I thought I had it on my computer, but I don't. But one of the things, there were two things at the end around the data that the two sources cited just said City of Santa Fe. There was no cited report or program or anything, so that seemed kind of vague to me, but I can send those things to you offline. Thank you.
I think it's City of Santa Fe affordable housing.
Now, my understanding is you need a vote from our committee. Whether to go ahead and submit.
To submit or not to submit.
I'm sorry, do you have another question?
I just wanted to say thank you for all your work on it.
I
Romella.
remember, Mr. Chair and members, I work on this a day and a half, and the most difficult funding application that I wrote.
Okay. So I guess entertain a motion to direct staff to go ahead with the submittal of this grant application. So,
Second.
okay, I guess I moved to do that.
Oh, did you move?
Okay, I moved to do that then. I'll make it easy. Motion second. Any comments? Okay, okay. Mr. Pingilly's gone. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item is discussion on BPAC's role in major redevelopment projects, and this relates somewhat to what we're talking about earlier this evening. And to me, a concern I had, I think I may have raised before, is also some of the major projects, like when we start resurfacing the arterial streets to this bond that was passed a year and a half ago, I think, like Airport Way being a good example, that BPAC would be able to have some input in terms of how the striping on that occurs in the future. As I think as we did, I worked with Jennifer last year with the AARP inventory. We noticed that the bike lane is a little bit narrow, particularly given the fact that there's 45-mile-an-hour speed limit on that road, or 40. But it brings to mind that there's projects that are maybe not typical build from the ground up projects, like a street resurfacing. That's something BPAC could be involved in. And then obviously tonight we talked about the benefit of having BPAC be involved in some development review. I guess maybe we can learn some more about how much discretionary approval staff is using when it looks at these projects, and or what the, I think as we also discovered that some of these standards are minimum standards, they're not maximum standards. So even though, going back to what we talked about earlier, if the minimum standard is a 9-foot wide lane, if BPAC got involved, you might say, yeah, but it'd really be great if it was 12-foot wide or 13-foot wide lane or whatever the case may be, and or that there be a bike lane provided. Anyways, that'd been my concern, is probably more not to give the technical review committee even more work to do, but maybe this is what would happen. But that we'd have that ability to have more involvement in project reviews. You had a one raised question, member Gerlich.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think that's one conversation that takes place, along with, I think the timing right now could be very good with a new chair coming in. Will next meeting?
I believe so, yes.
And I wonder if there is a way that with that new chair, reserve off campus for these kinds of conversations, role of BPAC. He or she, like to see from BPAC, the recommendations that we have from the three can have these things. And not only for BPAC, but to include Bike Santa Fe, seniors on bikes, bikes. Chair.
I think another example I have, which I think this subdivision project is occurring out in the county. It's between Rufina and Agua Fria, a little bit east of Ames Road. Twilight Homes, if you go by and see the signs. I haven't gone in there lately, but I went in there once. I was just amazed to find out that it's kind of being treated as two separate developments. It seemed like if you entered the site from Rufina, you can't get through to Agua Fria and vice versa, and I didn't even notice, minimally to me, in my mind, there should at least be a pedestrian bicyclist connection between the two sections. I can understand maybe they don't want cars going through and people discovering that's a cut through to get between the two streets. But to me, as a minimum, to me is a great example of, well, why isn't there some type of pedestrian bicycle connection between those two subdivisions? Because and it just creates for a better integrated community. I mean, imagine if you're a kid and you developed a friendship with someone who lived on the other side of the subdivision, you probably have to have your parents drive you over there or something, even though they might be 200 feet away. Yes.
You said that.
Because you will have a quorum.
Yes,
Do you want to have a BPAC meeting that is like a public meeting so that like Santa Fe can participate in the discussion?
That's the idea, yes. Expand it to larger.
So it's not a BPAC meeting, but we have to notify because you will have a quorum.
I have a different opinion on that. I'm jumping in, sorry. Because I was thinking this along the same lines. We're gonna have a new chair and this is something we should bring up. I think it's almost like we're gonna be doing a briefing for the new chair, kind of like these are the issues we've come up with. And I would advocate that we as BPAC do that. We've organized it. We're in the know. It's not to keep the public out, but like, because we also take into consideration and we hear from our partners, but I think, so it's not a free for all. I mean, it's somehow a little more structured that it be just us. That's I mean, as I'm thinking for that reason. So it stays focused. We're the ones up here, dealing with all the issues. And we bring the experiences of the groups that are so involved in doing a lot of the work. Just a thought.
As I mentioned earlier in this evening, I'm not an expert on New Mexico's Open Public Meetings Act, but I know when I worked in Washington, there's only certain things you could have a closed meeting for, and this would not qualify. So we may not widely recruit people to come to it, and you certainly could have such a setup where, if you wish, it would just BPAC discuss and people are able to watch and observe. But I don't think we can close the public from coming to such a meeting.
To be clear, yes, it would be a BPAC meeting just like that. And, we'd be talking and we can get their input, but so yeah, not suggesting a closed meeting or anything.
Member Gabriel?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm wondering how a new city councilor gets oriented to their assigned subcommittees. I'm assuming there is some kind of orientation. Maybe they meet with the last chair. I don't know. But I was thinking, why not do it at a BPAC meeting? The public is already here. Our partners are here. Perhaps we could give her background materials such as our strategic plan. I mean, I don't know how these meetings are very structured, how we would structure a Q&A with the chair or some kind of open conversation where people could express, especially the BPAC members, express things that we would like to move forward. Seems like we've already got the forum for it, and that's this meeting. I don't know, then we don't have to worry about another meeting offline or finding another space. So that's my 2 cents.
So the governing body had an orientation last Wednesday? Yesterday. 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 And the first governing body meeting will be held on next Thursday, January 15. So with the former chair, Michael Garcia, I remember I briefed him before the first meeting that only me and my division director, John Romero. Yeah. Yeah. So I was thinking to do the same thing, like what our February meeting will be kind of orientation meeting, because we also have new members or newer members like Member Farrell. I did not orient or give her any orientation. And so we can present the strategic plan. Here is our strategic plan. Here is the direction. Here are the tasks. These are the tactics. And it's growing because now we have an ad hoc committee that I foresee that, or my vision is their report will be included in the strategic plan. The bike summit, which is task 3.1, what Chair Pilcher is talking about, connectivity, that will be discussed in the bike summit. And that will be the recommendations from the bike summit will be included in the strategic plan in task 3.1. So that's a good idea. That February meeting will be orientation. And maybe we don't do the communications from other agencies, or it's up to the board, it's up to the committee how you structure the agenda for the next meeting.
Gabriel?
We do Robert's rules, right? So does that allow us at any point a more free-flowing conversation? Because it seems like it's extremely structured.
Mhm.
So how might we go about doing that?
So Romello, would it be possible if for the February orientation meeting that we reach out to various site, be it Bike Santa Fe, folks, seniors on bikes, and say, look, this will be your opportunity to come at public speaking time and tell the new chair, who are you, what you do, and maybe we could prompt them in some other way. What are your wish list, top 2 wish list?
Could it be under communications from the public?
Another question I have, or could we split the meeting into, like, part of it's a work session, which would be less formal, and then say it, the first hour of the meeting, and then the second hour of the meeting would be going through our more normal agenda. I don't know if that's possible to do it that way.
And the work meeting would be over the strategic plan.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, it'd be much more free flowing than trying to get attention all the time, like Ms. Gabriel's trying to get my attention.
Sorry, maybe I had too much coffee today. I wonder if we could announce this at the Bike Santa Fe Winter Social. There will be a lot of partners there. if they would allow us, and we could encourage people to come to that meeting. Yeah. Thank you.
So your understanding then, Romella, is that it'll be next council meeting that formal appointment will be made of a.
Yeah, January 15. And we will know by tomorrow because the agenda will be published tomorrow.
The likelihood of this person not being approved is pretty slim, I imagine.
There's no doubt.
Okay. Any other discussion on this item? Ms. Gabriel?
I just have a question. So should the chairs of the subcommittees be prepared to take the new chair through our sections of the strategic plan? I mean, obviously not word for word, but we don't have any time between now and then to talk about how we want to do that. So as a chair of the PEC subcommittee, I want to make sure we could split it up among ourselves, whatever we do, but should we meet with our subcommittees and figure out how we want to do that?
I think it makes sense that the subcommittee chairs would be prepared to brief what the subcommittees does. And if there's specific things in the strategic plan they want to bring to the attention, that makes sense. Oh, Ms. Bordigary.
Chair. Was I just going to say, since we don't know officially who it is, but I think we'll be well served by who's appointed chair of this committee, and maybe it would be nice for him or her for us to ask, because someone comes in with a level of knowledge of this. And like I said, I think the person's coming in the chair knows a lot. And so do they have specific questions? I guess they could ask us and, I want to know more about this. I want to, I guess that would be part of a work session, but we want to present all this, but let's go where he or she wants to take it, the new chair, like if I were the new chair, I'd have questions. That's just a contribution to how to structure this or, focus it.
Yep.
Like not all presentation, but like, see, this person I think knows a heck of a lot about all of this.
Okay, sounds good. Any other comments? Member Ehrlich?
I want to be clear, so for the February 12th meeting, we're going to have half of it is a work meeting with the new chair, and the other half will be available to the public. Is that what we're talking about?
Well, I suggested we do it like this work session for half the meeting, then our normal agenda would be the other half of the meeting. I don't know what other business items we're going to have for next month. Ms. Gabriel.
So if we wanted our partners in the community to also interact, would they be part of the work session? No. Okay.
The public. That agenda, the communications from the public. So at the communications from the public section, seniors on bikes, say who they are. That fire.
So would that be part of the work session though? Or
My understanding is that work session be about a new check.
Yeah, and I suggested a work session, assuming it could be less structured and more free flowing than our type of meeting we typically have here.
That would be, we'd have to open that to the public, correct? The audience?
Yeah, because it's the prerogative of the chair to open the discussion to the public. If the chair invites the public to participate in the discussion, she can do that. Chair Garcia did that, in the past.
So I guess I'm a little confused because we just talked about inviting our partners and having them somehow interact and a separate work session. So Tony, it sounds like you're suggesting that they would share what they do during, we would invite them to share what they do during communications from the public, but that wouldn't be part of the work session. Am I understanding that correctly?
I guess that's what I'm thinking, yeah.
Okay.
They haven't been part of the strategic plan. I mean, it certainly opened it up for conversations, part of the strategic plan. But at some point, the agenda that you chair it.
I think that would be great to have them share, for us to formally invite them
Right.
to share what they do. And then also to have this work. I'm probably just more of a need to know what's going to happen person than other people. Thank you.
I was going to comment, for example, I sit on the Public Safety Committee. There is no part of the agenda where comments from the public are solicited. Unlike we have in our agendas, there is no comments from the public. Yeah, and the public doesn't comment. Well, I guess they might come. There's normally a huge horde of firefighters and police officers there. Make sure we stay in line. So, okay, that all, everyone clear as mud, everybody? Right, next item, subcommittee communications. I have nothing for policy, planning and law. Ms. Gabriel, anything for PEC?
No, nothing. Thank you.
Mr. Schiffmiller, technical review?
I've continued attending meetings about the Asakia Trail extension. Meetings for the Henry Lynch Road have been suspended. There's nothing great import right now happening with the Asakia Trail. Interest. Other than, well, let's see, I guess they decided that the trail will be concrete, not asphalt. Vehicle access will be an issue that will affect us too. They've been discussing the scheduling of the project and specific interest us.
Thank you. Next item is matters from staff, if any.
And Mr. Chair.
Matters from the committee. Board Gary.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not sure how this, I have a question, kind of going back to the role of the ADA subcommittee. And are they advisory, or they're advisory similar? I guess there's other committees like us that are advisory, just in terms of looking at what we've been talking about tonight.
Member Bordigray, are you referring to the Mayor's Committee on Disability?
Yes.
They are advisory.
They're advisory, so. Thank you.
Matters from the chair, hopefully real briefly. I guess I'd like to suggest to staff how to make your job easier. I've noticed between the two committees I'm on that you nice folks take way more extensive minutes than the Public Safety Committee does. And it seems like, boy, that's a lot of work to do that. So I've often thought, I think I got used to a situation where basically you write a brief summary of comments and basically you have to just 8 minutes on votes, but they could be a lot briefer. And I guess I feel for you with the length of these minutes if you're preparing. You suggest we replace them with a robot or no?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I asked Mayor Garcia, I think on Tuesday, if he will bring back our stenographers. And he said, we have to talk about it in the governing body meeting. Yeah, because we used to have stenographers all advisory committees used to have a stenographer. And we lost that in
Yep.
COVID. Yeah.
Anyways, I just encourage you to look at it because again, I've often thought, boy, it must take a lot of time to put these meeting minutes together. And having done it myself for years, I was a staff to a planning commission. I tried to keep the minutes down to about 2 pages. They were doing very verbose ones and I took it over and said, I'm just going to do these myself. And they never complained. So I thought it's a good idea. Anyways, are there any other matters? Our next meeting, as mentioned, will be February 12th, unless we have this special field visit meeting ahead of time, but there will be public notice provided of that. So keep your eyes peeled. If there's any public left. Okay. That being, meeting is adjourned. I think we did.